Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on pretty much every story you've ever loved. Seriously, from the oldest myths we have to the biggest blockbusters, there's this hidden blueprint, a kind of secret formula that connects them all. We're talking about the hero's journey.
So let me ask you this. Have you ever been watching a movie or reading a book, and you get this weird feeling of déjà vu? Like, okay, the costumes are different, the setting's new, but deep down, you've seen this exact story before?
I mean, think about it. You've got the simple farm boy stuck on a desert planet who finds out he has this incredible hidden power and, ends up saving the entire galaxy.
Or what about the lonely orphan who lives in a closet under the stairs, only to discover he's a famous wizard destined to take down the most evil guy around? And then there's the girl from a forgotten, impoverished district. She volunteers for a televised death match and accidentally becomes the symbol for a massive revolution. See? They all feel so familiar because they are literally built from the same architectural plans. And it turns out two really brilliant thinkers gave us the blueprints, but they came at it from completely different directions. One was looking at the plot, the what happens next, and the other was looking at the psyche, the why it matters. On one hand, you have Vladimir Prop. He was a formalist who looked at Russian folktales and basically found their DNA. He broke them down into these predictable plot points, or functions, that happen in a specific order. He mapped the sequence of actions, the what. On the other hand, you have the famous mythologist Joseph Campbell. He came up with the monomyth. For him, it was all about the inner journey, the spiritual transformation of the hero. It's like a universal operating system for the soul. He mapped the why.
And this is where it gets really cool. When you put their ideas side by side, you see how perfectly they fit together. Prop's very concrete plot points, like the testing of the hero, slide right into Campbell's much broader, more psychological stages, like the road of trials. So Prop gives us the skeleton, the sequence of events, while Campbell gives us the soul, the meaning behind it all.
But here's the thing, a hero's journey is never a solo mission. It's always populated by this recurring cast of characters. And these aren't just random sidekicks or villains. They're essential figures who represent key parts of the hero's own psychological growth.
We call these figures archetypes. This idea comes from the psychologist Carl Jung, who believed we all tap into a collective unconscious. Think of it like a shared psychic hard drive for all of humanity, filled with these universal primordial patterns that just keep showing up in our dreams and, of course, in our stories.
So first up in the cast, you've got the hero's support crew. There's almost always a wise mentor, your Obi-Wan Kenobi, who gives the hero crucial wisdom or a special tool. Then you have the herald, the character who shows up and says, hey, your ordinary life is over, time for an adventure. And you can't forget the trickster, like Loki, who's there to stir the pot, challenge authority, and bring some much-needed chaos. And then, of course, you've got the roadblocks. You have threshold guardians who stand at the gateway to the new world and basically ask, are you sure you're ready for this? And most importantly, you have the shadow. This is the villain, who so often represents the hero's own dark side, the fears and desires they've repressed. These characters exist to push the hero, to test them, and ultimately to force them to grow.
Now what's so fascinating is that this universal template is not a one-size-fits-all formula. Every culture takes this basic blueprint and customizes it to reflect its own unique values and anxieties.
Take a look. For Gilgamesh in ancient Mesopotamia, the journey was all about learning wisdom through tragedy and failure. For Arjuna in India, it was about fulfilling his dharma, his sacred duty. And for the Roman hero Aeneas, it was all about his duty to his people and the future state of Rome. The hero always brings back the exact gift, the boon, that their particular society needs the most.
But of course, like any great idea, this classic model hasn't just been accepted without question. Especially in our modern world, storytellers have started to challenge it, to break it, and to rewrite it in some really powerful ways. One of the biggest critiques, and it's a powerful one, is that the traditional hero's journey is, well, it's pretty male-centric. It was built on stories about men, where female characters were often sidelined as either the prize to be won at the end or an obstacle to get past. This critique led thinkers like Maureen Murdoch to map out a completely different path, the heroine's journey. And this isn't about going out and conquering something external. It's a journey inward. It's about a woman who first succeeds in a male-defined world, finds that success feels empty, and then has to go on a deep dive to reclaim the parts of herself she had to leave behind, ultimately integrating both sides. It's a story of healing.
You can see this same kind of evolution in our modern mythology. superheroes. They started out as these flawless, patriotic symbols like Superman, perfect for the Great Depression and World War II. Then the anxieties of the atomic age gave us flawed, science-made heroes like Spider-Man. And now? Well, now our heroes are often traumatized, deeply conflicted people like Iron Man, who struggle with the same murky ethical questions that we do. So, with all these modern updates and critiques, you gotta wonder, why do we keep coming back to these ancient structures? What is it about this old story that still has such a grip on us? Well, Joseph Campbell believed that myths serve 4 absolutely crucial functions. They inspire a sense of awe, they try to explain how the universe works, they validate a society's rules, and this is the big one, they provide a guide for how to get through life.
And that's the key right there. Today, science does a better job of explaining the cosmos, and our laws define our social order. But that 4th function, the pedagogical one, the one that teaches us how to live, that's more important than ever. These stories aren't just entertainment, they're orientation devices, maps to help us navigate the crazy, confusing, and wonderful journey of our own lives.
Because in the end, the hero's journey isn't just a pattern in movies. It's a mirror. It shows us that our own lives follow the same rhythm of calls to adventure, of trials and tribulations, and ultimately of transformation. It's the story of being human. So the only real question left is, what story are you writing?